PRX.
Friends beyond the binary. Here I am to plant a seed. How come they don't say bury a seed? You say plant a seed, right? Is there a difference? You say, is it like, you say, man, that seed's coming, like, place the seed under the dirt. That's another way you could say it. Give a seed some place under the ground, or on, in a dirt, lay a seed in a bed of dirt. How about that? And I hope I can lay your thoughts aside so you can get into your bed. And since I don't know this probably isn't the summertime of year, so you don't have to worry about brushing that sand out of there. So tucking you in with stuff that doesn't, if you say, what is this person talking about? You're maybe in the right place, because it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. And here's a couple of ways we're able to bring it to you for free twice a week. And thank you so much, my patron peeps. And I may have forgotten to say, friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So I just said it again, just in case. All right, Scoots, take it away. All right, everybody, Scoots here, and I want to just thank all the feedback I've been getting on the Patreon. I'm trying to keep these messages clear and concise, and one of the things that people love about being a patron, about supporting a free podcast, is being able to listen in a podcast app and listen to the ad-free episodes, go all the way back in the feed. And even if you're a patron and you listen, you didn't know that, all you need to do is go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron feed. You log into Patreon, you click allow, and it brings you a list of popular podcast apps. You just pick one, follow, subscribe, and ad-free episodes, story-only episodes, and other bonus content comes to you on the regular. And you can listen to it right next to the free feed. Some patrons like to listen to both. They'll listen to an ad-supported episode, then they'll listen to a bunch of story-only episodes. But listening in a podcast app is great because you can create a playlist. You could search the feed depending on your podcast app. You could use a sleep timer. Some patrons like to slow it down. Patrons like to speed it up a little bit, especially if they listen during the day. And that's all stuff you could do in a podcast app versus listening on a website or through some other means. But particularly people that support the show on Patreon, because they get so much content. They love to be able to search through it and have that control. So if you're a patron, make sure you're using a podcast app, or if you're a free listener, make sure you're using all those features in your podcast app. Just search for it on Google or YouTube. You can learn more about your app and how to get the most out of it. But please consider, if you get a lot out of the podcast on a regular basis. We had a couple down months recently. I'd love it if you consider paying for the value you get out of the show. You get a lot of cool stuff back for supporting the show at $5, $10, or $20 a month. And being an annual patron, you get a month free. And you could do all that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Thanks, everybody. Sleep With Me podcast is brought to you by Progressive. Are you thinking more about how to tighten up your budget these days? Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save over $700 on average, and customers can qualify for an average of 6 discounts when they sign up. A little off your rate each month goes a long way. Get a quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2020 and May 2021. Potential savings will vary. Discounts vary and are not available in all states and situations. All right, everybody. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. And we all know relationships take work, especially the most important relationship you have in your life, which is your relationship with yourself. And if you're like me, and a lot of other people out there, you'll go to any length to help someone you care about. I mean, we go out of our way to treat other people well, but how often do we give ourselves the same treatment? We invest in ourselves through exercise. People take on coaching, research, reading books, taking development courses for work. But what about investing in the tools you need for your emotional well-being so that you can flourish in your relationship with yourself and with other people? This month, BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you that you matter just as much as everyone else does, and therapy is a great way to make sure you show up for yourself. And a big part of me going to therapy every single week is, learning how to be kind to myself and not let my internal critic or my fears or my feelings take over, and having the tools to greet those parts of myself with kindness, with care, with love. And then that carries to everyone else I come in contact with. BetterHelp is online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Give it a try and see why over 2 million people have used BetterHelp Online Therapy. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Sleep With Me listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/sleepwithme. That's BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/sleepwithme. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it is time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone, one part of the podcast in each area where I pop my peas, if you please. I thank the listeners who supported the sponsors, because that's how the show, I really do need your help to be here on a regular basis for free twice a week on any podcast app. So if you do support a sponsor, that's huge. Please share about it on social media or tag them, tag me. We've been getting less and less Sleepy Supporter support. You can always fill out the form at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors. It really, really, really does help. And it really, really could use your help because we have a lot of free sponsors. If you sign up for a free trial, maybe you're not in a position to support the show on Patreon. Maybe you're not in a position to support a sponsor. Please sign up for a free trial. Give the sponsor a test. That's why the trial's free. And let them know about it, that you heard about them on Sleep With Me podcast. It is huge. I'm really asking, if you're hearing this, to just take a second. Check out Audible. Sign up for Audible's free trial. Use our caviar code, free discount. LinkedIn, Headspace. Please use those free trials. And please, if you take a second to let the sponsors know about it. That's how we can keep them throughout the year. And that's how we're able to be here for you free whenever you want it. Thank you so much for the people that do that on a regular basis. I really, really appreciate it. The second part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone is you getting the support you need. If you're in extra need right now, there's links to resources you could connect with right now, including international resources. If you need some extra help, please use them. And then it's about supporting the members of our community through our actions, saying Black Lives Matter, saying stop AAPI hate, saying, hey, let's be a part of positive change. There's links to resources where you can learn more, you can take action. And one of the organizations we're supporting this year, and you're going to hear a lot about them, is the Midnight Mission. You can learn more at midnightmission.org or on social media. The Midnight Mission is very active. And the Midnight Mission has a twofold mission. One is to offer a bridge to self-sufficiency for people experiencing homelessness through recovery services, counseling, education, training, workforce development, and continued care services. And two, it's to make available the necessities of life to people experiencing homelessness: food, shelter, clothing, personal hygiene needs, and medical care. So sign up for our newsletter. It's at sleepwithmepodcast.com/rebel news. It's a free newsletter. It's just going to be about our support. There's tons of free fun videos coming out. I'm going to be doing tons of fun stuff, and you can learn more about the Midnight Mission and how to support organizations in your community as well. sleepwithmepodcast.com/rebel news. Thanks, everybody. Oh, Mystery Bard. A lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Poster sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are
Mystery Bard. If you want to keep up to date on all the fun stuff we're doing to support nonprofit organizations, you could find out more at sleepwithmepodcast.com/rebel news. That's our newsletter just for the fun stuff we're doing to raise awareness and funds for nonprofits. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/rebel news. What do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. It could be thoughts on your mind that you're thinking about. So thoughts, it could be feelings, anything coming up for you emotionally or physically that you're experiencing. Maybe you're having thoughts about those. Maybe it's related to those thoughts. Maybe it's something else, change in time, temperature, routine, something coming up, something that just went by, somebody visiting, something else, whatever's keeping you awake. I'm here to be your friend in the deep, dark night. That's really my job. Hey, I'm your bedtime bud, your boar bay, your boar sip, your boar bestie, your boar burr, your Renee boar, your boar bay. And what does that mean if you're new? I'm here to keep you company and get mixed up because I already forgot. The way I'm going to do it is so that you can fall asleep. It really is. My primary purpose is to keep you company in a way that you don't have to pay any attention to me so that you could fall asleep. So how do I propose to do that is I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones. Oh, so creaky are my tones. Pointless meanders, superfluous tangents, which means I'm going to go off topic. I'm going to get mixed up. I'm going to get confused. Then I'm going to say stuff that doesn't make any sense. And I'll say, wait a second. And then I'll go back. And then my thoughts will get interrupted while I'm talking. And then so I get mixed up. And all of that to keep you company so that you can fall asleep. And the most important thing I'm going to say, I'll say it right now. You deserve a good night's sleep. That's why I'm here. Now, I can't provide it for everybody, which I'll explain more of, but I want you to know that you deserve a bedtime that you don't have to dread and something where you can get the sleep you need to be functional, that your life feels manageable, and eventually you get enough rest where you could be out there flourishing. One, because you deserve it. Two, it's important to me because I know how it feels. Like I've been there, tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep, trouble waking up early, trouble thinking, mind racing, trouble, all that stuff. So I know how it feels. And really, underneath it all, for me at least, it feels pretty, I can have a lot of strong feelings about it, right? And it can hurt a little bit, I guess to use a strong word. So it's important for me to be able to help because not only do you deserve a good night's sleep, if you get the rest you need, like I said, our world is a better place when you're rested. Your world's better. That means our world is better. And there's like lots of other people listening. Now, maybe there's a possibility, no one has been through the same thing you're going through right now that's keeping you up. But I can tell you a lot of us probably know how it feels. And so that's the most important thing I'm going to say. Now, to go back to what I said, this podcast does not work for everybody. Not only does it not work for everybody, it doesn't work for almost nobody. I just thought of the Charlie's song for "You Are Everybody" or whatever from the TV show Lost. Just popped in my head for some reason. Oh boy! And that's probably you say, Scoots. That's not the song. You all everybody. You are everybody. I don't know, but so, oh boy, that took me off track. This doesn't work for everybody, but it almost works for no one on the first try. And that's because it's very different. One, if you've been struggling to get to sleep, you probably tried a bunch of stuff and none of it's worked consistently. That's why you're here. So you may be skeptical or frustrated already when you get here. Totally normal. And then this show on top of it is very, very different. So it takes some getting used to. But I'll try to tell you what are some of the things that take getting used to, just so you know. But I can tell you from feedback of hundreds of thousands of people, it takes 2 or 3 tries to get used to this show. Also from feedback from an equal or more number of people, it doesn't work for everybody. And some people have very, very, very strong feelings about how it doesn't work for them. Understandable, but instead of expressing your feelings to me, I want you to check out sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you if it doesn't work for you, or you say, I prefer never listening to you again, Scoots. I'd say, great, sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you has a list of other sleep podcasts and sleepy audio that's different style than this show. You might even say those have a style. But so, okay, what is different about this show that might throw me off? Okay, one, this is a podcast you don't really listen to. Most podcasts, almost by definition, is something you listen to with your ears and your mind or whatever. I don't know. Technically, I have no idea. Sleep With Me is more of a reflective listening, so I think technically if something happens with a vibration of a tympanium or something, and then your ear, and then it comes to electrons and all that kind of stuff, and your brain says, okay, I hear what you're saying. With Sleep With Me, it's more like reflective listening. It could just bounce off. It doesn't even have to get in. It could just bounce off the outside of your ear if you need to. And you say, I'm aware there's some vibrations happening. I'm not sure they make any sense. Another image that may be more preferable is watching clouds float by. You say, well, I'm aware there's clouds in the sky. They are in shapes, and maybe that's a poofy shape, and maybe that's more of a wispy shape. And they're not bad. Having clouds, a lot of times, not bad. That's a compliment. It's not sometimes absolutely stupendous, but sometimes clouds. Sometimes I don't need to apologize for sometimes barely paying you any mind. Clouds, they do just fine on their own. That's what they say to me in their notes. They say, don't worry about us. We weren't even aware you existed, Scoots, until it was brought to our attention. And that was imaginary anyway. I had to send myself an imaginary note from a cloud. I guess that says more about me than the clouds. So this is a podcast. Obviously, I'm not qualified to be listened to. So just kind of barely listen at first. Or don't... and that's why it takes a couple tries, because you say, I can't figure this podcast out because it's disassembled. Still functioning, but totally disassembled. It's also not a podcast that puts you to sleep. I keep you company in the deep, dark night, and you fall asleep while you're not listening to me. You're just barely paying attention. I'm here to be your friend to make the deep, dark night feel less alone or less lonely. And if you can't sleep, I'll be here to the very end. You can listen to me. But that's kind of what works about the show. You can listen, but you don't need to. And, probably... You won't remember, even if you listen to me, you say, what was he talking about again? Don't know. Something about Charlie, he tried, I don't know. He said, was it overdrive or drive shaft? It was definitely drive shaft. Whatever it is. So you say, he was talking about cars? And you say, no. I don't know. Maybe he said he had a Matchbox Charlie bucket car. Well, what's a bucket car, honey? I don't know, but I slept so good. Maybe he put Matchbox cars in a bucket while singing. I don't know, but yeah, oh boy, yeah. I feel so rested. So it's a podcast you don't really listen to. It doesn't put you to sleep. Give us the good news, Scoots. Oh, it also has a strange structure that serves some very specific purposes. So the structure of the show, it starts off with a greeting, friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So you feel greeted, you feel welcome, hopefully you feel seen. And then I say something that pops in my head, or maybe I wrote it down on a piece of scrap paper that may be mildly senseless but amusing. And you say, okay, it's a little bit silly too. So that's the greeting. Then there's the show, or then there's the support. So there's support for the show, because the goal is to have the podcast come out twice a week for free on all podcast platforms. And the sponsors and the listeners who support the show financially by membership are what enable us to do that. So you could listen for free, totally optional to pay for it. And wherever you want to listen. So that's one of my goals. Then there's support for listeners in case you have some extra needs right now. There's support for communities around the show. Then there's the intro, which is separate from the support stuff. It's a show within a show, and it goes anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. It's where I try to introduce the podcast unsuccessfully, over 1,000 tries, and I've been unsuccessful, all of them. But I'm successful in some other things. The intro also serves another purpose, which is to ease the transition into bedtime. So for a lot of listeners, the intro is something, it's part of their wind down routine, whether they're getting ready for bed, they're doing some chill activity, lying on the floor, foam rolling, drawing, stretching, needling, or whatever, I don't know, like hooking or whatever. And we're just getting comfortable, or some listeners are asleep. 2 or 3% of people skip ahead. A couple thousand people listen to story-only episodes on Patreon. So there's, at first at least, kind of see how it goes, because it's supposed to ease you into bedtime. That's why the intro goes on and on and on. And it's based on feedback over the past 8 years and my own experience of like having a bedtime routine to slowly get to sleep, which can be frustrating. I totally understand it, but it's the only thing that's consistently worked for me. And one of the few consistent things that lines up with what everybody says about sleep, which everybody, like, you know how it is because you've been there. Everybody knows everything about sleep, right? And they say, oh, you're doing it wrong. And I say, well, let me ease you into bedtime at least and see how that goes. So that's the intro. Then there's business between the intro and the show. Again, so it can be optional to pay for the podcast and you can listen wherever you want. Then there's the episode. Tonight will be our episodically modular series, bedtime story about Spice Friends. And that'll be nice. And then there's some thank yous at the end. So that's the structure of the show. That's why I make the show. I'm really glad you're here. I work really hard. I yearn and I strive, and I really hope I can help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple of ways I'm able to do it for you for free twice a week. All right, everybody, it is time to talk about a brand new sponsor. I am so excited about working with Athletic Greens, and I have been taking Athletic Greens AG1 every single morning. I take a scoop of AG1, put it in water, and mix it up. It is absolutely delicious. And AG1 is a small micro habit with big benefits. It's the one thing you can do every single day to take great care of yourself. Athletic Greens has it figured out. With one scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day. And this special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, your recovery, focus, and aging. And it's simple. I just take a scoop of AG1, I put it in a glass of water, I stir it up, and I have it first thing in the morning. It tastes so good. It's got this nice tropical taste to it, and I start my day feeling right. I feel like my energy is higher, and my focus carries all the way into my afternoon workout. You know, tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients your body will actually absorb. Athletic Greens was created when the founder realized how difficult it was to create an optimal nutrition routine on your own. And now you don't have to. You just take your scoop of AG1 every single morning, and it's like you're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. I just love how easy it is. It tastes great, and it's the first thing I drink every morning. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/sleep. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/sleep to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. That's athleticgreens.com/sleep. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it is time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Audible. And I'm getting so much out of listening to Mel Robbins' new podcast, Here's Exactly What to Do. You know, to keep the New Year positivity going, Audible has created a destination for complete well-being that delivers inspiration, encouragement, and actionable steps no matter what your goals are. At audible.com/wellbeing, Audible editors have curated a range of titles featuring experts in a wide range of self-care and self-development categories, from mastering your emotions and improving your relationships to getting in shape and finding more success at work and home. Among the listens are brand new titles from some of the most inspiring original voices in the genre, including best-selling self-help expert Mel Robbins from the 5-Second Rule, Start Here, who returns with a new podcast called Here's Exactly What to Do. Coach Pamela has created Mastering the Skill of Reinvention, which can help you turn the life you dream into the life you live. Renowned music producer and performer Major offers Major Frequency, a revitalizing journey into the healing power of music. Listening opens up a world of opportunities for discovering insights wherever you are, and these titles can give you the confidence and the motivation you need to build the life you deserve. And that's available only on Audible. That's audible.com/wellbeing. Audible.com/wellbeing. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, Scoots here. It's time for another episode, what is this? Another episode of Spice Friends, our episodically modular series with seriality, but you can listen to it in any order, because I'm going to catch you up right now on most of it, but also this one, a little spoiler, part of the story will be catching you up too. But I'll catch you up on everything. So if this is your first episode, don't worry. I'm going to tuck you in here, and then I'm going to tuck you in again. So Spice Friends is a tale of a world just like ours, maybe a little bit in the future, or maybe say, whoa, wait, that wasn't fiction, I guess, where at some point during the history of human beings, we discovered there was these big, what you would call maybe titans. Sometimes there was gorillas. Sometimes there was like dinosaur types or moth type giant beings, right? And they would walk around. Sometimes they would step on cars and stuff, knock over power lines and more, and they would yell and stuff like that. And it was very intrusive, obviously, on our way of life. And humanity as a whole tried to, at first we were, oh, wait a second, it's something about those materials we have that have half-lives, especially the ones we use offensively, that get their attention. So they got all the big ones on a big, like an atoll, big one's atoll, right? That worked for a while, but then people, and there was treaties and stuff. They said no more offensive half-life. Then they said, well, we're using it for power. And then the big one said, wait a second, you're using it for, you're not being honest. So then they returned and they started stepping on stuff again. This was when we had President Smith and President Smith's daughter, Vice President Smith. And I think sometime during the history, they also got in touch with some planet called Planet Zipper. Not a lot of details in this show about this. So you just kind of roll with it. There's not a lot of memorandums I was able to page through. But they sent this team of astronauts to Planet Zipper. And Planet Zipper said, hey, we got some solutions. Send us some astronauts. We'll teach them. And they said, we're also working on something. But meanwhile, President Smith had to take action because one of the big dinosaur ones came over and was messing everything up. And President Smith tried a bunch of things. Finally, President Smith, they had some sort of serum. Maybe it was from Planet Zipper. Not important, I don't think, right now for me to remember where the serum was from. Or Ray or something, I don't know. But President Smith turned into a big one, lured the big ones to big ones atoll. Oh, I guess it was from Planet Zipper, because then Planet Zipper used this big beam or something to cause all of Earth to go into hibernation for a time. And your hibernation would wear off, I guess, based on size. So the big ones were the last ones to wake up. And by the time they woke up, that's where our story kind of started. They were getting ready to wake up. The astronauts were supposed to come back. Only one astronaut returned. And they said, okay, we have a solution for the big ones when they wake up. And President Smith had gone away, dealt with it. Time had passed. I'm talking probably decades. And Vice President Smith, who had left politics but had returned, because the way politics worked had changed in that time. You know, after mass hibernation and then waiting around for giant beings to get woken back up, people change their priorities. But Vice President Smith had become president of the world, which really just meant president or chairperson or something of the collective nations, CN. So she was working with this astronaut, and she said, we follow all the plans you set, but it was like children's programming, and the astronaut basically said, yep, we're going to do this kind of positive joy through song and dance, and, dealing with seeing your feelings and feeling your feelings. And that's going to manifest a solution to these big ones. And President Smith said, I'm the president of the world. This doesn't sound like, there's nothing, how's this going to work? This is a bit foo-foo, I would say. And the astronaut said, well, this is the solution I've come with. Can you trust me? And President Smith said, well, I can trust you mostly. And so they moved forward with this plan, which actually worked, creating through song and dance and children's programming, mostly, and really leaning in. It would manifest these spice friends, which were giant spice-based beings. And thus far, they've helped mitigate some of the big ones. Moth breath, boggy or something, some sort of giant bog being. I don't know. There was one other one, I think, or two other ones. I'm not even sure. Oh, no. There was a garlic spice friend that helped. And there was a cinnamon spice. So they helped make things better. And they were still trying, the president and the astronaut and their team of children's programming, creatives and executives, I guess. I don't think you're an executive, though. It's because it's like you're working for like some sort of, you're actually, I wouldn't say you're a bureaucrat. I wonder if they had any wonks, policy wonks. I don't know what even that means, but I just say, that's interesting. I wonder if they had any gadflies. Oh, this is not the time my brain just said this isn't the time to ponder those questions. But so they were working with trying to create these spice friends to deal with the big ones. Now, meanwhile, the collective nations were trying to work together, but there was other, city-states and people, oligarchs, whole 9 yards, just like, you hear about in the great boring tales that Sleep With Me. And they had their own agendas, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And some people just wanted a clear-cut solution, just like the president did. He said, what? You're going to... Because no one knew about it. They just knew the spice friends would appear every once in a while. So they were looking for a more clear-cut solution. President Smith, she intervened, though. But it ended up the big one's atoll went away. And the big ones left the big one's atoll and spread out across the world. And we'll find out, I guess, coming up here. I know, I can tell you this, that just like Willow says, all will be well. So that's, I guess, without further ado, here's another episode of Spice Friends, and here's our Hollywood announcer, Mr. Antonio Banderas. So ladies and gentlemen, the boys, the girls, it's time for my friends beyond the binary to join us in another tale of Spice Friends. Spicy, yeah. Thanks. That's Mr. Antonio Banderas. Now, Antonio and I guess we're going to, if he can remain silent for the next, 70 minutes without, because another thing I noticed is your hair makes a noise now. Now that you've, your smile, you've learned to control the twinkling of your smile. and whatever that spiritual joy that comes out of the inside of you or whatever. I've noticed your hair also makes a sound. It doesn't sound it sounds like if there was icicles in heaven and someone had some sort of magical drumstick or something, and they they were playing icicles as an instrument, not on Earth though, because on Earth it would just probably sound like clump. Your hair makes a sound like that. I'm pretty sure I'm hearing it. It's very faint, probably because it's coming. I don't know if that's what heaven does. If there's a heaven and they're watching your hair, this is probably what happens. Maybe I'll just get you a hairnet. Oh, no, I have one next to my bed for you. That was my way of indirectly introducing that now you have to wear a hairnet, Antonio. But I'm pretty sure what's happening is heaven is watching your hair, and there's some sort of angel, or I don't know, I guess it would be a sprite or a nymph. And when they see your hair move, they like start playing icicles, like not like a xylophone, because most of them are higher pitched and heavenly sounding. And my mic picks, at least my ear, I can hear it, and it's distracting. So that's why you have to wear hairnets. And that is how drives all the way from LA. Now wearing a hairnet and lying in my bed with those booties on top of a comforter I put on top of my comforter, and not moving at all, except, what's necessary, is our Hollywood announcer. We're always grateful. Mr. Antonio Banderas, thank you so much. And this is Spice Friends. Thanks, everybody. Okay, Madam President, this has been a while since I haven't heard any recordings from you, and it's been quite a while since I've done any recordings. But we're here, I guess what I believe we're at a turning point. And I have no idea when the last recording I made was. That was because we got busy. We're working very closely together. And I guess I didn't realize the benefit of making these recordings until we reached a point where we're at a turning point, but we're spinning around and around and around, and then we're stumbling like when you put your head on the pole kind of thing. And then you say, no, go back to the circle, spin around again, where are you turning to? I don't know if that's the correct metaphor, but so how do I catch up if you're listening to this and you say, where are we and how did we get here? Well, I have no idea how much time elapsed. So I guess that's not as important as what has happened since then. We got you back after your trip to Big One's Island and flying around on a kaffir lime leaf on the back of like a flying feathered friend or not friend or whatever. Big One's atoll sunk beneath the sea. I believe the kaffir lime leaf and long feather headed below the sea to a sea vent that you instructed them. The rest of the Big Ones left Big One's atoll and spread out across the globe eventually. And that was not popular I guess not popular. How do we define popular? Your choice received a lot of scrutiny. And you, understandably, as a leader, were willing to be the projection, have that choice projected on you. We were able to give people a choice, have people deal with the consequences of how they dealt with you within your administration, our administration, our teams. Okay, but what happened? So the Big One's trying to say, could I do this in a way that gets to the point? But this is how we think things out, you and I, or one of the ways we've discovered it. So the Big One's spread out across the globe, but slowly. And the globe had strong feelings about it. And first they were kind of searching for remnants of that element that you had fed them that powered the device that was supposed to change the movement of tectonic plates. And luckily, we were able to, work with the entire planet for a while and relocate the processed parts of that element to isolated areas. And so first the big ones spread out and we reacted and they went to these isolated areas. Now, no area is totally isolated. So we also had to work on some humanitarian work and relocate people, well, hopefully temporarily. And again, that was an opportunity for us and for other people. It was either an opportunity or not an opportunity. And I don't, I guess part of me used to think that was like a 40, 20. 40% of the people were like, okay, like, this is, this change, I didn't expect a big one to show up, at our home here, but I'll have to do my best to do, okay, we'll move there. And then 40% of people were very upset and 20% of people said, I'm sorry, what? So, yeah, so there's that. And that was our status. And, everybody was very concerned with what are we going to do about the big ones. I feel like there was a sense of confidence, at least deep down with you and most of our team and the people that believed in your leadership. And I guess go back to that same idea. I said, this is probably 40% of the collected nations, I'd say, or the cooperative nations, 80% of cooperative nations believed in you and the people. And maybe the rest of the world, they didn't, that was 20%. I don't know. But so we could bring the Spice Friends where we needed them and that we were coming up with a plan to deal with the big ones once these elements were consumed or they were throwing the elements around, all those things. What we didn't quite realize was that while we were trying to come up with a plan in the cooperative nations, many people, a lot of times people come up with an idea and they think they're the first person that thought of it. But sometimes, and in this case, it was it was a synchronicity. Is that the right word of an idea? And a lot of people had the same idea were people that were used to collecting power or groups that were used to collecting power. For some, it was political power and some was financial power. And most of those personality types were people that were use the word strong arm to describe their behavior. It could be a subtle version of that, but they all had this idea within a few months of each other. What if we brought the big ones? Can the big ones be controlled? That was an idea that's always been asked. What does it mean if a big one comes to our country? What does this element have to do with things? And so then we reached a period, and that led to us to our turning point where the big people started inviting big ones to their countries or drawing them to their countries, and the big ones it was weird. They seemed to respond, and each one responded to a different call. I don't know. I need to take a break now because I just feel like I'm still spinning around in circles, but I'm hoping you're going to leave me a message too to help me process it, and you'll listen to this message and it'll help you process things. Okay, President of the United States recording. I said the United States. Can't get my father out of my mind, I guess. But yeah, I'm recording this message, and hopefully you're listening to it, but whoever's listening to it, you could take that as that you're listening to it. And I'm reviewing things here It's been a while since I've sat down and recorded myself to review things. And quite a lot has changed. I got taken a big one's atoll without my permission. My team and I, we had to come up, think on our feet and work with the team here to deal with that situation. Big one's atoll sunk beneath the earth. The big ones spread out across the globe. First in unpopulated, low population areas, and eventually, how do I say this without showing how strongly I feel about it, but certain people with inflated view, strong megalo, I don't know how to describe it, but certain countries and places within countries started trying to attract the big ones there, thinking they could use them defensively or offensively, thinking of the big ones in some sense as a symbol of their power is still behavior that I do not quite understand, and how more than one of these all these arcs, there's some, you have a committee. Oh boy, you have a committee of strong arms. That's great for you. Attracting the big ones there. And not like the big one came and sat down and had some tea with you. You could still see the big one walking around. I guess this gets into insulation. Oh, well, you live in a place that's insulated from the impacts of your actions. And so you don't have to deal with the big one walking around the low-lying parts of your nation or your city-state or whatever it was. And you could afford to move the elements around. And then we got into this place where at least you were able to listen to reason, because at least I knew not to fight you. That in the face of this behavior, I didn't understand. I'd learned from my father, from my mother, and from a lot of other intelligent people to, set aside the people and the problems. They say, hey, well, there's like people that don't want to be in this nation with a big one stomping around. Can you let them leave and they can come here and live in one of the CN aligned nations? Only if they, and then you said, okay, but what if people want to come live in our place? And you had incentives, and we made agreements. They said, okay, well, we have free passage or paid passage, even if people wanted to leave or wanted to come. And I mean, again, it was beyond my understanding why a large portion of people, well, I guess it's beyond my understanding, but I can see it happening and I believe it happened to say, well, yeah, I want to live in that. I like that leader. I like the style. They tell it like it is. And, they have a vision, having a giant, whatever that, chicken hawk or whatever it is, cat. It's a cat, but whatever. Oh, we'll live there, They tell, that's a place where you could be you, and say it like it is or whatever. I can't understand it, but I can grasp it. So that all happened. And one of the pieces of good news somewhat was that by giving your territories to one big one, we didn't quite realize that they were territorial and that their behavior, and this is, I can't believe I'm saying this because it isn't acceptable, but we're adapting to it as okay, so the big one's behavior did change. It caused chaos and destruction. still unpredictable, but just not as unpredictable or aggro as when we stood in opposition of the big one or tried to hide something from the big one. But that doesn't mean it's okay, which is where we're at with these decisions we're trying to enact and figure out what to do and what our responsibility is. And also longer and midterm, what all of you are up to with your big ones. But it kind of seemed childish in some sense, and maybe that's just me and my own issue of this behavior. Oh, now we have this living titan in our where we live, and we have a leader who is connected to the titan, and we can identify with it and wear clothes and praise it, belief systems that are thousands of years old, and now I don't know. But in some sense, when God-like beings are, wouldn't you say a God-like being behaves with some sort of, I don't know. Those are my things. Again, this is getting in the way of us reaching what we need to do next. But that's where we are, or where we thought we were, is, okay, we have the CN nations, we have the things we set in place. Now, no new spice friends have come forward because, since there were some spice friends that we needed since Kaffir Lime Leaf, when some of the big ones started leaving. But anyway, no current spice friends. We do have the ability to consistently, I think we know the process that usually will result in the creation of a spice friend if there is the need to, which is the one part that's quite a variable, but the rest of the parts, we know the process, right? It's a process-based process. So there was a little bit less stress, right? And we had this exodus and influx of people, and that caused some changes and some strong feelings here and in other places. And again, under my leadership and with the leaders I work with, we've taken accountability for our actions and tried to make the best decisions we can for everyone that we can make those decisions for and with, and trying to adjust and say, okay, well, this is where you've settled, or this is where these are the places we can house you. This is our plan, or why don't you take part in the process? And this is kind of where the setup is that most of the people that chose to leave these big one, I forgot the term you were saying, big one affiliated nations or something, but they were involved. They chose to come, and so they have been very involved, and in a good way. And that kind of was a distraction between, so you have the people that seem happy with this one way of being in a big one dominated area. And then you have the people that wanted to get away from that. But what we were distracted from was the people in between. I don't know if that's the right word. They use the word apathy sometimes, but I don't think that's an apt description of it. It was people, I don't know if we forgot them as so much as that we missed an entire layer of people that are being impacted by the behavior of the big ones that, again, a behavior I can't quite understand. And so, I don't know. I think I should listen to whatever you've recorded before I can even parse out what we should even do. And I don't know. And it's anniversary's coming up, and it has me distracted too. So I think that's a part of it. So I'm going to take a break here. Okay, Madam President, I listened to your recording, and, we've kind of talked about it too. So, and you, as a leader and as a person that's wired for leadership and has a heart for leadership and the mind and the spirit and the soul for leadership, you want to prepare and control what you can control, right? Because you see these big one nations, and that's the term bonds. You forgot bonbons we would joke about, but you see them as eventually becoming an offensive thing, and that's where we need to focus our attention. That either we have to be prepared defensively or create spice friends to lure the big ones out of the big bonds and deal with them. But I guess I have been adamant, and I know your heart's been adamant too about those people have chosen not to act, who have said they don't care or they just want to stay. They won't want to be bothered, even though the big ones are bothering them. It is confusing. They won't leave. But they're not exactly happy with the circumstances. Who could be? And I pitched you, and you went through with multiple failures. That I was behind. Some of our team proposed. Because no one voted, I guess is the thing. We had a public vote that we got the bonds to agree to and said, hey, you could make a public vote. Do you want to stay? The Exodus was a part of that, but that was more voting with your feet. But this one said, hey, just vote, and then we'll arrange for you to exit or enter. And again, I think more people left the CN, but it wasn't a large number of people. So then we said, okay, we'll do a secret vote. And if you're concerned for some reason, what's amazing is, I guess because the bonds consider themselves in such a strong position that they don't really care if you stay or go. Or maybe there's some other more insidious layer that they know you're not going to act. I don't know. But so they had this secret vote, right? That didn't do anything. We tried different ones. We said, okay, so you don't want to vote by the electronically. Well, let's fly a flag. Okay, well, that's where you live. Okay. Send us, message it. We didn't do a message in a bottle. That was on the idea board, though. So none of that worked. And, of course, we came back to the fact, and actually, it was you that said it. Why don't they just vote with their hearts? But they're not vote. That's where you got very strong. You said they're not going to vote with their hearts. Their hearts aren't voting is the thing. They see the people here that chose to go there, chose to come here. They voted with their feet, but their hearts were in it. So they can't vote with their hearts. So what do we do? And again, another thing of unsuccess. We tried some programming and to put on some shows and using the Spice Friends and the big emojis and everything we had, all our characters, to teach people how to vote with their heart. But I think because our intention was ahead of our actions or something that... or what response did we have? And again, this is baffling. I understand it because I feel that way inside sometimes too, wanting to lie down. And it's something inside me, right? But there was just nothing doing. And again, there was more, the big ones were still walking around, and then people being kind of, I don't know that you really talked about this in the recording, but having to work serving the big ones in these bonds, and people still not saying, okay, so your job now is to bring food to the big one, or you had to leave where you lived and move somewhere else so the big one could just lie down on that side of that hill. And it was tense and it really, really not a lot of seeing eye to eye because no one knew what to do. It's and it's exasperating, right? We tried everything, but I guess we tried from the wrong direction because it was you that said it. At first, you said it to me. You said there's something getting in the way of us getting to the answer of how to do this. Why don't you look at what's bothering you? But like any good leader, any real leader, you did it first for yourself. And that's why I have so much respect for you and why I have confidence. I have hope. You know, I tried to bring hope to you, but you sparked the hope within me. I guess I need to, hopefully you're listening to this and we're finding a way to move forward as you move forward with what's going on with you. President of the Collective Nations, recording again. Okay, so I don't remember the last thing I was talking about. I know we've had some conversations since then, but where we were at, what the turning point is, maybe I should define that as what you would call bystanders, people that have no side, or maybe they would describe themselves. They say, well, I don't want to get involved. I don't have a side. They live in a big one's nation, but they're not aligned with the big one. But they say, well, this is what happened. These are the circumstances. And we say, well, we want to take you out. Well, what if we don't want to go? Okay, well, what do you want to be? What's our responsibility to those people? And then the idea that we were trying to get people to vote and trying to get them to do what we thought they should do. And that just didn't work. This head-on bumping and bumping and bumping. And it was you that said, maybe we have to soften the seed before we plant it. And and then I said, okay, well, you said it was my idea, but I think it was your idea. And I said, you're right. What is the seed that I can't even let be planted within me? I mean, I know one of them among many. I was very, very frustrated. But when I started to try to put myself there and say, how am I like that? How can I, when am I resistant? I'm vulnerable, but I feel vulnerable. And they said, oh, this was my dad. And I've got to work through that and think about, how what I'm angry about, what I haven't grieved about, and what I'm powerless over and what I'm sad about, and balance those things with being in the present moment and dealing with life, taking action. What do you do? And I said, well, I guess I know what to do now is to work with you and work through it and through this process and work through it in the eyes of children, with the children. I mean, now it's a lot younger when, my father had to make really hard choices to keep people safe from the big ones. And here I am trying to create a safe place, and I have to help myself through song and dance and joy, work through those feelings, let them be there, let myself be sad. Let myself be mad. Let myself be a person with feelings that are real and legitimate. And again, not worrying about what, I don't know, just experiencing that. And I guess it's funny, as an aside, is if there was another world where none of this ever happened but this show, it could have changed everything too, you know? Maybe, or would we be like those people just watching the big ones out their window and saying, well, oh, bummer. Here I am, and there they go. Hope that my house isn't the one they sit on today. Or would, I don't know. That's too much of a speculation. But so while I've been talking about this, we've been working, where I've been working through my feelings. We also maybe came up with, we're about to see if this is going to work. Okay, thank you, Madam President, for all of your input and your inspiration and your vulnerability. Watching you, I've just learned so much just from watching you be willing to try and to try to have hope that these things will work and that these things can be worked through. And that's kind of what inspired that, this thing of the cumin seed, right? And the great cumin spice, it's hard for me to say, but great cumin spice friend giveaway was what I first called it. But then you said cumin cuties. And I said, cumin, and you said, yeah, they could laugh about that on the playground too, but it's cumin, and I said, cumin cuties, cumin cuties, and you said, just cumin cuties, a great cumin cutie giveaway. It's some sense of vote. If you wanted a free, we started the cumin programming with the cumin cuties, they were spice friends, they were singers, they were full of song and dance and joy. But they were made up, instead of being just one spice, they were a collection of cumin seeds. And we talked and we said, well, this could be something, with the magnetized, not real seeds for the toys, but that are bendable and shapeable and danceable. And then we said, okay, what if people could get these for free anywhere in the world? Bond Nation, in the bonds or in the CNs? What if you could just order and sign up and we'd send you a cumin cutie of your own? That would be a way to vote with your heart for a friend to play with. And it worked. And the best part was with all the newcomers to the CN and everybody that is involved, gave people more things to be engaged and involved with, helping make these toys, these gifts to give away, you were working on them for the people in your community that wanted them and across the world. You were involved in it. You were watching it. Families were working on it. We had a cause to work together on. And it's been beautiful to witness. And of course, the cumin cuties, they are cute. They've just been, oh boy. And all the possibilities the creative team has been able to come up with, so impressive. But that was also when we became aware of a change in one of the big ones, right here in, the former United States on the other side of the Rockies, the hairy ape, and some of the observations that have been going on. And one of the teams saying, I've been observing the hairy ape, and it's my belief they've been changing in size. And we said, no, not changing and getting smaller, but getting larger. In that, this person said, and not just larger in a slow, consistent way, but in a progressively larger way. And you said, well, it's time to take action, because it was also a part of this giveaway did trigger some change in those countries, in those places where people said, you know what, I get like could be a part of the, the cumin cutie crew, you called it. That was so people that worked on making the cumin cuties called themselves. And people in the bonds started to say, hey, I want to leave. I want to be in the cumin cutie crew. And for a time, the bond leaders, they didn't care, because they had the people that wanted to be there, that were engaged in their ruling and praising their big ones. And I don't know if this is what's related to the growth in the big hairy ape, but it's not good. And then the nation's, bonds said, no more leaving, particularly here on the other side of the Rockies, the middle. I don't even know. So, that's where I grew up, in the Great Plains. So that's why, my heart is heavy thinking about it, okay. So now I guess, Madam President, I guess I'll wait to see, we're about to try to send, to create a cumin cutie of our own, a spice friend, and follow our protocols, and actually using what you used to heal some of your feelings with your father and your mother, your siblings. So let's see how it goes. I'll be talking to you in a second. Okay, this is a President of the Collective Nations recording, and okay, well, this you filled me in on the cumin cuties, which was a success, and you taught me to kind of express and work through my feelings and feel my feelings. And then we played that out to a larger audience on a consistent basis. And we had a cumin cutie, just one, but a cumin cutie, and it appeared on our side of the Rockies, or on, and it was cute. It was a cumin cutie. It was singing. It was walking. It could reshape itself. Very playful. But it also knew it had to go deal with the hairy ape who had grown and was acting more chaotic. But now they'd closed the borders there and wouldn't let anybody leave. And it was time for a change. And the cumin cutie headed through the Rockies, and the big hairy ape was waiting, and eventually they started to dance, in a sense, especially since the cumin cutie was singing, and that was when we got our first glimpse of how large the hairy ape had grown to be the big hairy ape, even though it was big to begin with, and that it was much larger than the cumin, even I guess now I'm saying it like you, but our cumin friend, it's cumin cutie. I want to say cumin spice friend, but it's cumin cutie. And at first the dancing, or whatever you want to call it, offensive dancing, defensive dancing, it seemed like it could go either way because of the ability of the seeds to reformulate themselves. It kind of offset the size advantage of the big hairy ape. But it went on for a while, and it went on in a way that, there was a swaths of people impacted by the dancing, and it went on for some time with only some breaks. And we tried to keep inspiring song and dance in people's hearts, and people around the world using their cumin cuties to express their feelings and work through their feelings. Not all of them good feelings. Or what you would choose as good. And I remember you showing me that wheel of feelings and saying, when you were talking to me, or I was talking to you about where I felt blocked with my sadness, and that there was this one thing on the wheel I noticed, pensive. I can't remember it now, but pensive, sad, and grieving. And on the other side of it was service and joy, I think. And that was the spirit of the cumin cutie, right? And I guess I don't know. I'm distracted now because, so the cumin cutie and the big hairy ape, they went back and forth. And eventually, I guess when you say big hairy ape, it sounds a little bit not nice. But this big hairy ape was also keen and always learning. And I think at the time we were assuming that was not the case. And so at some point, the big hairy ape got figured out that one had a size advantage. And two, that the human cutie was made up of, that its advantage was also a disadvantage. That was made from collective seeds. And we didn't even notice it at first, that the big hairy ape would have a back and forth, a dance off, but each time, and then it would retreat off and rest, and it was acting like it stubbed its toe or something, and it needed to get away. But really is grabbing small handfuls of cumin seeds, taking them out and burying them or throwing them in the rivers. And it wasn't for a few days that we noticed the cumin cutie was getting smaller and smaller. And then, much to our chagrin, smaller and smaller and smaller, even after we realized it. And at first, that seemed like it was going to be a giant problem, right? The cumin cutie kept getting smaller and smaller, but it never stopped. And eventually, it got to the size that it was still very large because of the huge size of the big hairy ape. But next to the big hairy ape, it looked like a little toy. And the big hairy ape started picking it up and holding it, and in a somewhat way that, at least for me, felt evocative of how the big one nations were being run. It was patronizing way. It was a paternal, but not a loving paternal way. It was a way like a B-U-L-L-Y in a sense. And those images were playing out everywhere. And our reaction with the creative team and you kind of leading them was to say, okay, people are going to have strong feelings about this. Let's, what can we do that's the opposite of that? And again, with the cumin cutie being so beloved, and trying to understand that, again, another behavior that's not quite understandable, but we have feelings about. And more people, but I think the fact that so many people also had this joy and service connected to it, that something totally unexpected happened, which was that one night all of the cumin cuties, and I think that more and more people, we started to get more and more orders during this time. They were still free. You could still order them, and we were still using means to sneak the big one, cumin cuties into the big one's nations, or people were giving them to their neighbors to use. People were posting ways to make your own cumin cutie. And the cumin cuties started talking to people, like, and calming them, interacting, I guess, just a little bit, that they were, I don't think again, we still don't understand it because it's not happening anymore, but that they didn't come to life as so much as communicate a message somehow. And then what did people do? But they took their cumin cuties outside, even if they weren't in in the Midwest, former Midwest, the plains. They took their cumin cuties outside and played with them in a fun way, and danced with them with joy, and with the knowledge that this cumin cutie came from service, from someone else giving it to them. There was some remnant of that interaction, like in the hearts of the people, I guess, somehow. And somehow that changed how the big hairy apes started to deal with their cumin cutie. And that the big hairy ape must have witnessed it, but it must have felt it as well. And the big hairy ape started to get smaller and smaller and smaller too. Now, still fairly large in size, but took its cumin cutie and headed off to an isolated part of the Rockies, and seems to have burrowed in, just playing joyfully with its toy. And I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means for the rest of the big ones, nations, the other big ones. But I do know that there is this new awakening that I can feel of people saying, oh, wait, I would like a little bit more of that joy. Can I get it through this service? Can I get it through these feelings? Can I get it through the song and dance? Can I get it by playing with this cumin cutie? I don't know. Maybe I'll try. So I'm in a place now where it's like, I don't know what we're going to try next, but I hope I stay willing to try to solve things. And then as long as I can help lead us to the next stage that we have to cover. So I got to get some rest. I hope you're resting too, astronauts. And I know we'll talk soon. Good night. All right, I want to thank everybody who became a patron recently and say thanks, and good night to Andrew, Sarah, and Christy. Thanks, and good night to Amy, Mike, and Lori. Thanks, and good night to Valerie, Gretchen, and Lynn. Thanks, and good night to Pete, Christine, and Michelle. Thanks, and good night to Joe, Lisa, and Casey. Thank you, thanks, and good night to Amelia, Aaron, and Mary. Thank you, thanks, and good night to Brian, Kathy, and Arlene. Thanks, and good night to Alexi, Levels, and Stephanie. Thanks, and good night, everybody. Sleep With Me exists a free podcast. Give people support the show directly on Patreon or support our sponsors. That's how we come out twice a week for free. We grow as a podcast. You could join our referral program, sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer, or you can just spread the word about podcasting in general, like soft sell. Just say, hey, man, like I love podcasts. This is the app I use. If you're talking, I don't know, depending on who you're talking to, I don't know. But that helps everybody. You feel good. They discovered podcasts, and then the podcasts that they end up listening to. So I appreciate it because I love podcasts. And here's a couple Tuck You In sponsors that have enabled us to add that over 400 episodes into the free feed. Thanks and good night. All right, everybody, it is time to talk about Helix Sleep. I mean, what kind of bed are you sleeping in? Do you want an upgrade? Do you want a bed that's made for the way you sleep? I mean, I love my Helix mattress. Came straight to my door. I took the Helix quiz. I got matched with the Helix Dusk. But I get to see when my friends or family need about it, I say, hey, take the Helix quiz. HelixSleep.com/sleep. It takes just 2 minutes to complete, matches your body type and sleep preferences to the mattress. It's perfect for you. you. Like I said, you don't want to buy something made for someone else. With Helix, you're getting the mattress you know will be perfect for the way you sleep. Everybody's unique, and Helix knows that. That's why they have several different mattress models to choose from. Soft, medium, firm. Mattress is great for cooling you down if you sleep hot. Spinal alignment to keep away those morning aches and pains. Even Helix Plus mattress for plus-size sleepers. And I sleep hot. I sleep on my side. I sleep on my stomach. And the Helix Dusk Luxe fits my needs perfectly. So if you're looking for a mattress, you take the quiz, you order the mattress you're matched to, and the mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free. You don't ever need to go to a mattress store again. And Helix is awesome. You don't have to take my word for it. It's been recommended by multiple leading chiropractors and doctors of sleep medicine as a go-to solution for improving sleep. So like I said, just go to helixsleep.com/sleep, take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that'll give you the best sleep of your life. They even have a 10-year warranty. You get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free, and they'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but you will. Helix has financing options and flexible payment plans, so a great night's sleep is never far away. So now is the time. Right now, Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/sleep. That's up to $200 off, but you have to use that link, HELIX sleep.com/sleep. Thanks, everybody.